guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be choosing the books for my May TBR. First, to check in quickly with the progress that I'm making on my TBR shelf. In April, I read 3 books from my top 22 books to read in 2022. The Last House on Needless Street, Dead Silence, and King of Battle and Blood. So I made a lot of good progress on that, and I only have 12 left to read for the whole year. I really am thinking that I'm gonna be able to finish all the books that were on that list, which I'm excited about. April was not the best reading month for me in terms of like the quantity of books I read. I only read 4 books total, but I have more hope about May. I was just in a weird mood in April. I wasn't really feeling like reading anything, but I'm excited to get back into my regular routine of reading. So before we get into the rest of my TBR, I wanna take a moment to talk about the sponsor for today's video, which is Book of the Month. So Book of the Month is an online book service where every month you get a curated selection of new release hardcovers, and it's a really amazing service to help you discover new authors, explore new genres, and find your new favorite book. With their skip policy, you can skip at any time and you won't be charged. And with my code Riley, you can get your first book for just $9.99, which is a crazy deal. They have sent me all of their selections for May. So we have Breathless by Amy McCulloch, which is a thriller following these people who are climbing a mountain, and as they're going up, people in the expedition start mysteriously dying, and it turns out there is a killer among them and they are trapped up there together. Yerba Buena by Nina LaCour, which is, I believe, her adult debut. A sapphic tale about 2 perfectly imperfect women yearning for something to call home. I've read all of Nina LaCour's books and I really love her, so I'm so excited to read her adult book. Then we have another book that I have been very highly anticipating, and that is The Hacienda by Isabel Canas. And this, it says it is Mexican Gothic meets Rebecca. It is a supernatural suspense novel set in the aftermath of the Mexican War of Independence about a remote house, a sinister haunting, and the woman who's pulled into their clutches. Does that not sound amazing? Take My Hand by Dolene Perkins Valdez, and it says that it is a novel about a young Black nurse's shocking discovery and burning quest for justice in this post-segregation Alabama. Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez, which is a small-town romance about this girl who falls for a much younger man who comes from a very different world from her. Darling Girl by Liz Michalski. This is a fantasy Peter Pan retelling. It says, one woman must take on the infamous Peter Pan, who is not the innocent adventurer the fairy tales make him out to be, to save her daughter's life. I've been loving Peter Pan retellings recently, so this is totally up my alley. And then lastly, they have an add-on for this month, which is Book of Night by Holly Black, which I'm so excited to read. So like I said, you can use the link in my description and the code Riley to get one of these books for just $9.99. And thank you to Book of the Month for sponsoring this video. So before we start choosing, I am making a slight change to the books that I'm selecting for my TBRs. I was recently going back and I went full nerd and I made a whole spreadsheet of every single TBR that I've made, all the books that were on them, how many of them I read in that month versus after that month, and then the ones that I haven't read. And I realized a common trend is that when I choose like fantasy or horror or sci-fi, I almost always read those books in that month. Usually the books that I'm not reading in the month of my TBR are romance books. And I think that that's because when it comes to romance, more so than other genres, I am a mood reader. When I want to read a specific romance book, I want to read it right that second or not at all. Whereas other genres, I can really plan ahead and I don't have to be in a certain mood for. I don't know what it is about romance that's like that for me, but it's very much in the moment. So I think going forward, I'm not going to be putting romance books on my TBR. Maybe I'll put like 1 or 2, but I'm not going to choose a bunch. Instead, at the beginning of every TBR video, I'm gonna tell you guys the 10 romance books that are on my radar. So these are gonna be the ones that I'm like the most interested in at the moment and that I probably will be picking up within the next couple of weeks, but they're not like guaranteed on my TBR. So I'm gonna tell you guys 5 ebooks and then 5 physical books that I have to keep a mixture of both of them. So here are the 10 romance books that are currently on my radar. So quickly, we have The Dark One by Nikki St. Croix. This is the sequel to The Never King. It is a dark Peter Pan retelling. I loved the first book. I'm so excited for the sequel. The Half-Orc's Maiden Bride by Ruby Dixon. Eyes on Me by Sarah Kate. This is the second book following up Praise, which I loved. The Plan by Carla Sorensen. Kink Camp Hunted by A. Anders. And then for the physical books that I have, Famine by Laura Thalassa. This is the third book in the Four Horsemen series. Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tessa Bailey, which is the sequel to It Happened One Summer. The Dragon's Bride by Katie Robert. Lessons in Sin by Pam Godwin. And then lastly, Be Still My Heart by Emily McIntyre and Sav R. Miller. So those are gonna be the romance books that I probably will be reading this month. Not all of them, but these are the ones that I'm going to be most likely choosing between. So like always, I will be choosing challenges and prompts out of my TBR jar to help me select my TBR. So let's just get into it. Very excited. I have updated my shelf a little bit. I have 2 new sequels that I've added to the sequel section, as well as the section at the end where I put new books that I've hauled. So we're just gonna choose the first challenge, which is this one. A book with a cover similar to your favorite book. Okay, well first let me think, what is a favorite book? Okay, I pulled some of my favorite books. So we have the Wayward Children series. I can maybe find something with a door on it because every book in this series has a door. Wilder Girls, maybe something that's like got this artistic vibe. I know I have a lot of books in this similar family of like a girl with flowers coming out of her in some sort of like abstract way. Or maybe a Dowry of Blood, something with like a gothic vibe on the cover. Let's take a little look and see. Okay, I actually have 2 books on my recently hauled section that have that vibe of like a girl with plants or flowers. So I feel like both of these covers have elements of the Wilder Girls cover. Although looking at it now, I feel like this one is definitely the most similar. Obviously it's different, but like they're also in the same color family. They're both like green-ish. Okay, so I'm gonna choose Tripping Arcadia by Kit Mayquist. So yeah, like I said, I just recently hauled this. This is a modern gothic book that is following this girl who recently dropped out of med school and she needs to get a job, and she finds this position working as a doctor's assistant to this very wealthy and powerful family. As she's working for them, she discovers like really bizarre things and finds out that the father of the family is possibly responsible for the ruin of her own family, and now she wants to get revenge. So it sounds really good. Y'all know how much I love revenge books, so I have high hopes for this one. Although I really haven't heard anyone talk about it, so it could go either way, I don't know, but this is going to be the first book on my TBR. The next challenge is this one, which is Sapphic. Okay, so I have 2 Sapphic books on my shelf. The first one is Malice by Heather Walter. This is a dark, I think, Sleeping Beauty retelling. I don't know how romancy it is, but I believe that there is some sort of relationship between Sleeping Beauty and Maleficent. And I've heard really great things about this. So many people have recommended this to me. And then the other one is Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake. This was a gift sent to me from a subscriber, and I've really been wanting to read this. So which one? I want to read both of them so bad. I think I'm leaning towards Malice. I've really been in a fantasy mood lately, so I think I'm gonna go with this one. So like I said, this is a Sleeping Beauty retelling. It says, a princess isn't supposed to fall for an evil sorceress, but in this darkly magical retelling of Sleeping Beauty, true love is more than a simple fairy tale. Very excited. I actually don't know. Maybe someone in the comments can tell me. I don't know if this is YA or if it's adult. I guess I will find out when I read it. The next challenge is this one, which is a book with a hidden design under the dust jacket. Okay, let me go look, take off all these dust jackets, and see what we can find. So there are only 2 with hidden designs under the dust jacket. So we have Atlas 6, which has that design, and then Nettle and Bone, which has a little dog skeleton. So I think between the 2 of these, I kind of want to go with Atlas 6. I know nothing about this book. I know that it's very hyped on TikTok. Other than that, though, I couldn't tell you anything. So it says, each decade, only the 6 most uniquely talented magicians, I don't know why I said musicians, magicians are selected to earn a place in the Alexandrian Society, the foremost secret society in the world. Okay, so it's magicians, secret society, maybe dark academia vibes. We'll see if the hype is real with this. Secrets, betrayal, seduction, power. Welcome to the Alexandrian Society. The next challenge is this one, which is a book you know nothing about. Okay. Well, that is going to strike out literally all of these, as well as all the sequels, because clearly I know about all those. I actually know what I'm picking for this. It's not necessarily a book I know nothing about in terms of like the plot, but I know nothing about what other people have thought of it. I have not heard a single person review this book or talk about it. It's just a book that I randomly found when I was at Barnes & Noble, and that is Woman Eating by Claire Kohta. So this is a literary fiction book about this girl who is a vampire, and she is just trying to live her life. She has left her abusive vampire mother and is on her own for the first time in her life. And she's living in London, and she's having a hard time getting blood. That's all I know about it, but like I said, I've not heard anyone's opinions on this. It could be amazing, it could be terrible, I have no idea, but it sounds really cool. Also, I'm obsessed with this cover, so we'll see. The next challenge is this one, which is a genre you haven't read so far this year. Since I said I've been in a fantasy mood lately, I don't think I've read any like adult fantasy books this year that weren't romance. So for that, I'm going to pick Fevered Star by Rebecca Roanhorse. This is the sequel to Black Sun, which is one of my all-time favorite fantasy books, and I've been dying to read the sequel. We're following 3 different characters. One of them is a resurrected god, another one is a female pirate captain, and the other one is a priestess of this like religious faction. And this whole world is just crazy, layered, and amazing. I loved the first book so much, and I can't wait to get back into this world and these characters. Lastly, we are going to choose this one, which is Blurbed by my favorite author. Oh my god. I think this is the first time I've pulled this challenge. I could be wrong, but I've been waiting to pull this challenge ever since I put it in here. So let me go through these and look, because I think I have a couple options. Every time I go book shopping, I have like an eye out for books with blurbs by authors that I really like for this exact reason. All right, so I have 3 here. So A Marvelous Light and Light from Uncommon Stars are both blurbed by TJ Klune, but then Nettle and Bone is blurbed by Seanan McGuire. So I feel like I have to choose this one. So this is by T. Kingfisher, who is an author that I've read 2 of her horror books, and I loved one of them, hated the other one, and this is one of her fantasy books. And ever since I read her horror, so many people have told me that I need to check out her fantasy books, and this just recently came out. It says that this isn't the kind of fairy tale where the princess marries the prince. It's the one where she kills him. So basically we're following this girl who is the 3rd princess to this small kingdom, and her oldest sister married the prince of a bigger kingdom to like have an alliance, and then she died. And then to replace her, the middle sister then had to marry him also. He has been abusing her. So the youngest sister sets out on a quest to kill him. And I believe that there's like some curse that she has to break in order to be able to kill him. There's a curse that's protecting him, and she has to break that. So she teams up with a bunch of people. It says she's joined by a disgraced ex-knight, a reluctant fairy godmother, and an enigmatic grave witch, and her foul familiar. Finally, she might have the courage to save her sister and topple a throne. So this sounds really fun, and I'm very excited to read this. I told y'all, I'm in a fantasy mood this month. So here are all of the books that are on my May TBR. I'm very excited for my fantasy-filled month. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!